Welcome back to the United Stand. I'm Terry Flewers, and it's great to be back with you. We're talking Benjamin Šeško, who's been ruled out to up through a month due to the knee injury suffered against Tottenham in the final game before the international break. We're also taking a look at the big news surrounding Semenyo, a £65 million buyout clause in the contract, available in January, and we must be in the race for this player because he fits and is going to throw some people off straight away. That left wing-back role, we need him for it, and I'm going to tell you why. We're also taking a look ahead of the summer transfer plans for United as the Casemiros, Maguires and Sanchos, Rashfords leave and huge money is made back in the salaries, and what the plans are from Ineos, the plans are from the board to bolster this squad. All that and much more to go through, but of course, get the admin out the way. Like, share, subscribe, please. Get that done for the United Stand. As we know, Mr. Goldbridge is away for a few days, so I will be here every night today right through until Thursday for you, so very much looking forward to it. Where is Mark? I don't know if he's divulged publicly where he's going, so I'm going to keep my mouth stum on that one. Loose lips sink ships, and he's not on a ship. Just he's going to throw you right off there. He's not on a ship. I don't think so. Anyway, hope you're all well. Hope you're all good. I can see you guys in the comments section. Can't wait to interact with you all on that. Oh, what's this here? Hello, yes, hello to you, Fernando. Nice to see you, my friend. Evening, Pete. Hope you're well. Happy life. Thank you. Liam, I see you, bro. Big up, Jack. I can see you. Polo United. Yes, it's me. I am Terry. That rhymed. Look at that. Look, loads to go through, loads to talk about tonight. I'm going to start with Šeško, the big news that came out about an hour or so ago, and it has been updated by Sky. And what they said when it first came out is that Šeško out for a month due to injury. They've updated their own tweet, or they deleted it and retweeted it. I'm not too sure which. But they've now said that Benjamin Šeško has avoided major injury and is expected to be out for a month at most, Sky Sports understands. And my instant gut reaction to this is that it's a massive blow. It's a massive blow. It's heavily frustrating because we need him. And I know that he was subject to a huge amount of criticism. I felt so much of it was over the top. That is not how you welcome a new player. That is not how you nurture a new player. And I thought that the United fans and the mainstream media, not criticising a bad touch or an opportunity he should have scored, but the way some went in on him, I personally thought it was reprehensible. Now, everyone's entitled to an opinion, but I felt it went over the top when he's being criticised more than far more expensive players and far more experienced players by the mainstream media than him. So I'm gutted that he's out because I feel that he's needed. He's part of the plans. He's part of what we're trying to create and build. And losing him for a month, we're only playing one game per week as well. That element is difficult. What I will say, and unless somebody else has seen a more detailed report, Sky Sports tweet is a little, it's just a picture. There isn't any more detail as far as I can see. I've gone to a few aggregators and it's just some basic information. What I don't know yet, or you guys might, and we'll read it in the comments in a few moments, is that a month including the 2 weeks he's already been out, or is that an additional month from now? Because that plays a part. Because if it's a month in totality and we're only getting the news now, then essentially he's got 2.5 weeks left of that. So I'd love to get some specificity on it, but there, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Patrick, thanks for the super chat, my friend. And yes, I'm very well, thank you. Very well indeed. Daniel here says, it's a big blow indeed, and wishing Šeško a healthy and speedy recovery. I fully back him to come back and really kick on for us. And that's the thing for me, Daniel. That's why I'm gutted, because I feel he's a player that needs game time. That being said, as big a blow as I think this is, as frustrating as it is that he's out, because it's going to leave us short. We don't have anyone who's an out-and-out number 9. And although he wasn't firing on all cylinders, there's certain movements that he has. There's certain actions that he undertakes during a game that are just different from what a Cunha, a Mount, or a Zirkzee is going to be able to do. And it helps us at times. So, yes, my initial gut reaction is this is bad. I wanted him to play. The team need him. I know he didn't do well against Tottenham. And I know people were frustrated with him in the Forest game. But in the previous 3 or 4 games before that, he was excellent. The way he came on against Brighton, class. Helped set the third goal up. Previous 2 games before that, he's scoring in them and having an impact on the game. I don't have such a short-term memory that I would ignore that and only focus on the bad bits. But there is a silver lining in this. And although I want him fit and although I want him playing, and we're going to get into the alternatives in a minute, I think maybe, and I saw a few people comment this here, and I've seen a few people on social say this, maybe it's a good thing from the perspective that he gets out of the limelight for a period of time. The fact that I've seen more criticism towards Šeško than I have towards far more experienced and expensive players in Wirtz and Isak. The fact that I've seen the same mainstream media say that those lads at Liverpool, the best team in the country when they arrived, lads that are older and or more experienced when you look at the levels they've played at, they need time. Let's not write them off. Let's not judge them. Let's give them time. The fact that Šeško hasn't been afforded that, I just thought was a disgrace. And not everybody will agree with that, but that's my stance. And I won't yield on that. I see other people's perspective. Oh, Terry, United players have got to learn to handle pressure. I understand that, but we could just do a better job of nurturing them. I saw a clip from John Terry and John Obi Mikel yesterday where they were talking about Azpilicueta when he joined and how Obi Mikel thought that he looked well off it, like he wasn't a Chelsea player. And they spoke about how bad he looked when he arrived. And he obviously went on to be one of their greatest ever captains. Sometimes it takes players a little bit of time. And I think Man United fans can criticise absolutely, because I do, if he should have scored a goal, if he could have played better. But I think we don't criticise, we crucify. And I think there is a fundamental difference between constructive criticism and hanging one of our own out to dry. And I don't think we do a good enough job at times protecting our own players. I don't think we do a good enough time of protecting our own football club, sometimes even from ourselves. This here from Ray says, that's why I wanted other centre forwards, because of injuries could hit us. I hear you, Ray, and that's why a lot of people wanted more centre forwards. But what's the question? What's the alternative now? For me, I think what we're going to do is play Cunha there or Mount. That's what I think he'll do. I don't think it'll be Zirkzee that will start games in that 4-week period. I think Zirkzee will come on from the bench. I personally would like to see young Obi come into the team. Reason being, I think about it from a continuity perspective. And if we're going to regularly be playing when Šeško's fit an out-and-out number 9, well, let's keep that continuity going. But I think it'll be Cunha. I think Cunha will go into that position. I think Mason Mount will come back into the team. Even then, Mason Mount's been good, but what I would like to see, if Cunha's picked, would be Cunha in the 10, Cunha in the 9, Bruno moved into the 10, and Manu given that opportunity in central midfield that I think he's been working tirelessly for. So that would be my... Again, even then, if I bring Cheeto in, because I want to see him get the continuity up front, that probably means no Manu. And I haven't really thought it through enough which one I prefer. Probably thinking about it, Manu being given an opportunity and a chance in the team might suit us better in the long term, especially if Šeško's only missing a couple of weeks. But I'd love to get your views. I'd love to get your opinions. I'm very malleable on this one, to be fair. This here from Anders, who says, good to see you, Terry. We will beat Everton anyway, but hope Šeško is back soon. Zirkzee is not good enough. Amorim will start with Cunha up front. Yeah, I think that's what he'll do. But that being said, I would like to see Šeško. I'd love to see Joshua Zirkzee given an opportunity. I'd love to see him given another chance, I would, to impress, to show us what he's made of. The back end of last season, before the hamstring injury, there's no doubt that he was starting to improve. He was starting to operate at a higher level, and the injury came at a bad time, and we've never really seen him since. And that's one question I would love to ask Rúben Amorim is why? Why is he not coming on from the bench? Why has he played what? You could probably add up 10 minutes in total this season. Yes, Terry, is what Rich says. Hope you're well, my friend. You actually suit the role in place of Mark, though. Most of his have home for Mark. I'd like a bit of Zirkzee. He will be good. I appreciate you. Listen, no one's ever going to replace Mark on the United stand. It's an impossibility. In fact, there are no YouTubers in the world as good at streaming as Mark is. And the numbers, the consistency don't lie. but I appreciate the compliment massively. Daz Sweets here says, surely Obi comes in an actual striker. Yeah, I think it depends on... I suppose, look, you can look at it this way. Did you watch England last night? England did this thing, Daz, where you had Wharton taking corners. And a lot of people, I was on the TL watching, and it's, why is Rice not taking them? Rice is the best corner taker in the world. This is crazy. You've got to have an alternative who's got to have practiced in a real game situation. We saw in the first England international, we took Kane off and Foden went false nine. Important to try different things. So what United may look at this as an opportunity to do is go, right, let's just paint a picture that he's out for another 3 weeks. Let's play with the false nine for 3 weeks. And it's a chance to work on that. Although it's the alternative to what we want, we could work on a way of mastering it. So therefore, in games, when Šeško goes back and he has to come off, we can work on it. And the alternative tactic, the adjustment people have been asking for, has been worked on. So there is an element of, sometimes in life, listen, life throws you curveballs. Life throws you grey clouds. Sometimes you have to look for that silver lining. But maybe that's me. I'm ever the optimist. Dean here says, Zirkzee, not good enough, really. He's our most technical player. Do you know what, Dean? I agree with you. He's one of our most technical players. I think what the previous commenter meant is not good enough as a number 9, not good enough as a striker, not good enough at scoring goals. His hold-up play and everything else is good, but who feels... The one thing about Zirkzee I'm intrigued to see is if he's in the team, I want to see the runs that Mbeumo and Cunha are going to make, because there's something about them running in the box off of Zirkzee that could be quite fruitful for us. Lorenzo here says, we have to play Zirkzee until January to get a new striker. Why until January? That's 6 weeks away. He's not going to be out for 6 weeks. Zirkzee tried to play striker, not really his best position. No use, is what Rob says here. Kenneth says, you actually... Oh, sorry, I've already read out his... Ridden? I've already ridden something. I ridden did it out. I already... Worded. Read. Red was the word. My brain went then. This is from Yamakaz, who says Amorim will go Cunha as a deep lying forward with Mount and Mbeumo at 10, whilst double pivot of Casemiro and Bruno. Reason: ask yourself, as Amorim will you gamble on youth or play experience he can trust? Listen, I don't think you're wrong. That's what I agree. I think what you've said is what we'll go for. It isn't what I would do. I would move Bruno up. I think when you've looked at this international break, look what Bruno does when he plays attacking midfield. Just another level. Just another level, and should be played there more. I completely agree. Kia here with the super chat says, I don't want... Sorry, it's dropped off my screen. Where's it gone? There we go. I don't like to play crosses until Zirkzee at his 9.5 with his link up would suit this system well. Although I'd like to not see Bruno in midfield. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the issue. This squad is still so incomplete. This squad is still so far away from where you can rotate a couple of players into new positions and you feel comfortable. And we're a long way away from that, and it's going to take time. But yeah, for me, now that I've listened to what you guys have said as well, and I've thought about it, I would start... This is what I would do, not what Amorim will do. Cunha in the 9... Bruno into the 10, Manu into the middle. Zirkzee then being given the same type of minutes from the bench that Šeško has got to prove a point that he could play. That's what I'd go with. I'd also have Obi on the bench in case we want to go for an out-and-out 9. Because the thing is, if we want to go for an out-and-out... Say we look at it and go, oh, we need someone off the shoulder here. That isn't what Zirkzee is going to be able to do. So I think both should be on the bench for the foreseeable future. Evening, Cunny. I see you there, my friend. The squad needs an Irishman, is what Dad says here. Listen, after this international break, bring us Troy Parrott. Bring us Troy Parrott. That was amazing, wasn't it? It was amazing. Mike K here says, I love Manu to get a shot, but it'll be Mount or Cunha. Listen, I think it will be. The one thing I would say is that they've both played quite well this season. Mount's actually been very good this season. And as much as I didn't want him at United, as much as I've been frustrated with him so far at the club, what I won't do is lie. So far this season, I'm not sure how many games Mason Mount has actually played. I'm going to look now. He's played 8 of the games. In terms of starts, I'm having a look here. He started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He started 5 of the 8 games, come on as a sub in 3 others. He missed 1 game against City with a knock, and then he was on the bench for the Brighton and the Fulham and the Forest games and didn't come on. And yes, he only has 1 goal, but he should have had assists against Tottenham. You know, very good play from him. But I've been quite impressed. I've been quite impressed with just his overall play and his tenacity. So we all talk about meritocracy and saying we want to see Zirkzee and Zirkzee and Manu given opportunities, and I agree. But if we believe in meritocracy over favoritism, we can't push back against the fact that Mount's played really well. Food for thought. Lee Dixon here says we should have got Valdemada in my opinion, instead of Šeško. Watched him for 2 years before Newcastle snapped him up. Look, for me, I think if Šeško went to Newcastle, he would have had a similar start. Šeško's joining a team that was on its arse when he came in, a team that was crumbling, a team that had confidence issues. And we have started to recently improve slightly. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not getting carried away. My feet are so firmly planted on planet Earth. If I get struck by lightning, I'm dead. Do you know what I mean? I'm so rooted in Earth, it's unbelievable. And I'm basically a conductor, right? But for me, if you'd have joined Newcastle, the football's been better for longer, the atmosphere was better, the culture was better. And I do believe those areas of United are improving, but you're joining a very different scenario. It's very likely Valdemada comes in and has a similar start. You know, even with Mbeumo, who I feel has been excellent in recent weeks, it took Mbeumo, again, a little bit of time to get going, and he's a much older and more experienced player within the Premier League. So, you know, I look at these situations and sometimes think we have to be a little bit more patient with what we're looking at and what we're doing. Like, if I look at Mbeumo as an example, I wouldn't say it was bad. You know, played okay against Arsenal, played okay against Fulham. Thought it was very good against Burnley. Thought it was okay against City. You know, Chelsea, I thought it was very good. Brentford, everybody was poor, if I'm being honest. I know he could have scored, but that was it. It's really been from the Sunderland game onwards where he's really hit those levels of consistency for me. It just takes players time sometimes. And this man had most of a pre-season with us as well. So listen, I hear your point, and you could be right. But Valdemada would have also come in very late in the window, and I don't know if he would have started as well with us as he has done with Newcastle. But that's just me. A comment here from Abdul. Terry, I told you about Cunha. He is not Man United level. I saw him at Atletico Madrid, and the fact that he keeps being grouped with Mbeumo is disrespectful. Even Šeško, who's being cooked, has more goals than him. Well, I agree with you from the perspective of output. I am disappointed with the output thus far from Cunha. I wanted more goals and I wanted more assists 11 games into the season. I did. I won't deny that. I won't suddenly pretend that doesn't matter to me. But his overall performances, by and large, have been very, very good. And for someone like yourself, who prides himself on not being overly focused upon GA, I'm surprised at you, Abdul, because if you look at the Liverpool performance as an example, he was absolutely exceptional in that game. I thought he was very good against Arsenal opening day of the season. Barring his finishing, his overall play against Fulham was very, very good. Very good in the opening 31 minutes against Burnley until he got injured. Brilliant, I felt, in the when he came on against Chelsea. Really helped us keep the ball up the other end of the pitch. Sunderland game, again, came on. Really impressed with him there. Liverpool, I've mentioned, brilliant against Brighton. The Nottingham Forest game, I think his shooting was off, but I liked his play. The Spurs game, I was really disappointed in him. But it's been his overall play's been good. Does he need to do more? Yes. Would I group him in with Mbeumo? No, Mbeumo's been standout of the outfield players that we've signed. But I don't think Cunha's been a bad signing so far, personally. That's just my view. Some will see it the same, some will see it different. This here from Dean, he says, maybe a crazy take, but I think Mount is better than Cunha. See, I don't think Mount is better than Cunha. I think you could argue he's had better performances this year. But I think what we're doing when we look at these performances is we're looking at the fact that Mount scored that goal, and Mount's had a couple of times where he's fed the ball into people and you think, oh, wow, there's going to be a goal here. But the overall play from Cunha, I think, has been very good. The one negative I've got with Cunha is that sometimes he runs into trouble rather than playing the simple ball. And that's a problem. At the same time, though, I feel over the course of the next few years, because he will be here a few years, the way he plays and operates is going to give us some amazing moments as well. Maybe we can get a poll running. If I nearly called Adam, who's behind the scenes today, Mike, because his surname's the same as my old boss that was called Mike. Get a poll running. Who the viewers thinks had the better season? Not who's better. We know Cunha's winning it. Who's had the better season for United so far? Cunha or Mount? I'd love to see what people think in the comment section. Rob's here says Cunha is a fantastic ball carrier, breaking the opponent's defensive line. Not many goals yet or assists, but he's really good in the build-up. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot more to come from him. Excuse me. The pain in my chest. Terry, have you heard about the basketball team that Man United have agreed to form in NBA Europe? No, I haven't. Sorry. No idea. No idea. Breaking Edit says, if Šeško had gone to Arsenal, he would have been in the conversation for top scorers. This team doesn't play for a striker to win a game. All he needs is some service. Listen, I do feel more service is definitely needed. That's an area where I'll defend him. Get yourselves voting who you think had the better season so far, please, people. And we'll let you know the results of that. The poll's just gone out now. But yeah, look, I think he does need a bit more service. I think he needs, but he has had some as well. Let's not forget Mount put him in 2 great opportunities. Should have hit them both earlier, but he didn't in many people's eyes. I'm talking generally here. I feel the second one was actually a bit harsh. I think he needed to take a touch. But I think what he should have done with that touch is move the ball out to his left-hand side. He's left-footed. The first one, the more I watch the first one back, he probably should have just gone for it with his left foot, power, low and hard into the opposing corner. There was also the pass from Mbeumo that would have made us go 2-0 up away at Nottingham Forest, and it was a wonderful pass. If his first touch is decent, he's in. So he has had opportunities, but he needs more. It can't just be one. It needs to be 2 or 3 a game. It needs to be 2 or 3 good chances a game for me to say he's had more than enough service to be scoring goals. Cunha also got Bruno to deal with. What do you mean? See, this is the thing for me. Bruno doesn't make Cunha run into silly positions. Bruno doesn't make Cunha underhit some of his passes, which he's done. I'm not going to blame Bruno for Cunha's mistakes personally. I'm not going to go into that realm. You guys can in the chat. That's not for me. People forgetting how Cunha ran the ball versus Liverpool. Now, Brian, I agree with you. I totally agree. That holds a lot of weight. And look, the audience so far, the votes are in. 69% have voted for Cunha thus far. 69%. 70% have gone for Cunha. So there we go. We're getting our answers here. The United stand has spoken. For reliability reasons, I choose Cunha over Mount, but Mount have side that I like. But Mount have side that I like. He good to look for another teammate that Cunha lacks. Yeah, I think sometimes Cunha could just lay the ball off a little bit better. I think Cunha could just do something like that where, lay the ball off a little bit earlier, or sort of don't always have to. I know he's a good ball carrier, but sometimes he should knock the ball off and then make a run off the ball, and it would help us. And he kind of runs into sort of blind alleys, which he gets caught out in, and into dead ends. And that's the one area that I'd like him to improve on. Terry, off topic, but I know how much the Camp Nou Stadium means to Man United's history. It makes me so happy that we are moving back after rejuvenating it. Yeah, look, it's amazing. And of course, the Camp Nou is so historic. That 98-99 season, as a United fan, we didn't just win it there. We had an epic game there against Barcelona that ended 3-3. Same scoreline as at Old Trafford. And people forget what that... There'll be a debate about it one day. The media companies won't want to admit this because they won't want to put people off the modern day game. But group stages for the champion. Again, Bromby were in the group, yes, but you will never get a group. I think that's why people like the league phase now of the Champions League, because a lot more of the big teams play each other. Although they don't necessarily eliminate each other, because you get a lot of other games against much weaker teams. But the group that year was Man United, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and Bromby. To have Barca, Bayern, Man United in one group, this is why when people were winning Champions Leagues in the 90s, especially in the noughties, which United won 2 of them in that period, Liverpool won 1, Chelsea won 1. The competition it didn't have as much right in the modern day game. Whether people like hearing this or not, there is a lot more cannon fodder. There's a lot more human shield teams, right, that are easy to beat in the Champions League now than there ever was. And the Camp Nou that season, we had 2 epic games there. Amazing. So, yeah, I'm glad to see the stadium back open as well. 767 Man United, who's a member, says, new shiny toy Cunha, a good player, but so far Mount has been far better, is what's said there. Samantha here says, I didn't say Mount was a piece of dead wood, the opposite. Read my chat. Oh, you guys are chatting to each other. I'll let you guys get on with it. Who is your preferred 2 midfield targets? Well, we'll move on to that story, because this was one of the things we're talking about tonight as well. So a big article came out today, and we're going to touch on Semenyo soon, because I've got a big take on that. It might upset a few people. I suppose if you don't understand football, it'll upset you. If you do, you're going to get me. All right? That's a bit of a joke. But a story came out today from Mark Ogden, and this is really important. And it says that United plans to strengthen its midfield next summer by saving $1 million a week in wages to reinvest in young, energetic players for long-term value. It says here that expiring contracts of high earners Casemiro, Maguire, and Sancho, plus Rashford's potential departure, Rashford will go, gives United a chance to save significantly. And I think that might even come to more than £1 million a week, if we're being honest, although Maguire might do a new short-term deal. But I think Rashford's on 250. Sancho's on 250. Maguire, I think it's 350 for Casemiro. It might actually be $1 million. I might have overshot that a little bit. No, it is. Plus, I think he's on 190, Maguire. I could be slightly wrong. So, but yeah, just over $1 million. They were right. So it's about £1 million a week. And what a lot of football fans don't understand, because the media still talks about net spend, and that's not really how football clubs account for it. £1 million a week in salary is £52 million a year we get back. And if you look at a lot of the players United have signed in the last 2 years under Ineos, they've come in for a lot less money per week than their predecessors. So we're saving money in that realm. But the salary packages for all of your players are a much bigger investment for your club, typically, than the transfer fees. So when you're signing a player, it isn't always, you might be able to afford the 50, 60, 70 million pound fee. But if with signing on bonuses and salaries, if that player is going to cost you a further 100 million, they might become unattainable for you. So getting that money back is important. What I think is going to happen, and this is an early prediction, I think what I said to you all in the summer is what's going to happen last summer in 20. This summer has just gone in 25. It's going to happen again, but in midfield. Where we went to rejuvenate the majority of our attack in 25, in the summer of 26, I think it's going to be all about the midfield. Now, there's talk of 2 midfielders coming in as per the question. I think between January and the summer, we might even sign 3. I think there's a potential for 3 to come in. And there's a short list. Now, you've got Stiller on that list. There's Belieber on that list. There's Anderson. There's Gomez. There's Wharton. I feel like they're the 5. I think they're the top 5 United are looking at. And what we have to get right is, I'll give you my personal preference in a moment, but what we have to get right is there's no point dropping 2 of them if 3 of the 2 targets we go for don't want to join us. And we need to be precise. And the one thing that United did last summer that I praise them for, and I'll continue to praise them for, is we won't put bids in for players that don't commit to us. And we should maintain that level of authority. I felt a lot of that. I thought we were still a little slow last summer. And this forthcoming summer, again, it's a harder one because of the World Cup. but I want at least an extra player or two in earlier than we did last year. But, sorry, I'm just scratching my arm. Sorry. Like from my point of view and perspective, I look at it along the lines of I want the signings done quicker. I don't want them to drag on as much as last year. But I've always felt that you have to act with a sense of authority and you have to behave in the right way. And once you've sort of done that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I think what that does for you, it puts you into a position where you can start speeding up negotiations because people realize that you're not going to be pushed around. So I wanted to be very, very clear on that. And by the way, before I continue, a big shout out to It's Me, who has just gifted 3 memberships out to 3 of you lucky viewers tonight. So make sure you're thanking him for doing it. Now, that all being said, we built the attack. And I think we've seen why they've done that already. Defensively, we've still got to improve massively. But we've already scored 17 goals this season, 17 or 18. Far superior. Actually, I did these numbers the other day on my channel, but I don't have them in front of me. But goals per game is up. XG is up. Every kind of goal scoring metric is up and growing, by the way. It took us 3 or 4 games to get started, and they're all going up. What it looks like we're going to do this forthcoming summer is rejuvenate that midfield. I think 2 minimum. It could be as much as 3. I think we go for 3. It depends on what Bruno decides to do, and it depends on what happens with Manu. I think that the future of those 2 players, if Bruno says, listen, guys, I want to stay, I think we might sign 2. If Bruno says, I'm leaving, I think it could be 3. Equally, if Manu says, I want out, it could also be 3 as well. It's a hard one, right? Still is the name that everybody talks about, but I have to be honest, I haven't watched him enough. What I've read is excellent. I trust a lot of people's scouting reports and go, wow, he sounds a good player. But it's very hard for me to put him in my list without watching this play as much as I have the others. Top of my list, though, is Elliot Anderson. And it's because there's nothing any of the other midfielders do that Elliot Anderson doesn't. Creates, breaks lines, carries the ball, wins possession. He is the Swiss Army knife of midfielders. But every area that he's in the top percentiles for a high percentile, for everything. He's this all-round player. Then I love Adam Wharton. And Wharton isn't the all-rounder that Anderson is. He's more of a specialist when it comes to moving that football forward and breaking the lines. My fear for Wharton is that he does lose the ball a lot because he's trying to break lines, and some Man United fans who hated Bruno will hate Wharton once he arrives. They won't realise this until he comes in, but they will. And then there's Belieber. And I look at those 3, and I think they're my top 3. If I had the money now, could wave a magic wand, and they'd all be in the dressing room next, Anderson, Wharton, Belieber. That's 3 going into 2. But I want the competition. Then it's a case of, well, I think Cass will go. We either move Bruno into the 10, or we look to move him on. And then there's a case of what happens with Manu. Now, I think, again, if we make Champions League football or European football, 2 to 3 could come in. If we're not in Europe again next year, it's 1 game a week, we're adding no more than 2 because you're never going to get enough games to give everybody the exposure they need. But they're the 3 names. But the one that's also on my list as standby is Joao Gomes. The more I watch Joao Gomes, the more I read about Joao Gomes, the more I study Joao Gomes, the more I think he's a little bit of an unearthed gem, or a gem that's been unearthed but hasn't been polished up yet, that people are not really focusing on. You should watch him play, look at his numbers, look at what he actually does. Yes, Wolves are not a very good team, but that doesn't mean he isn't a very good player. And we've seen players before, for instance, Andy Robertson at Liverpool, got relegated with Hull, be part of that team. But there was an unearthed gem. There was an unpolished gem right there. And I like Gomez. And I think to myself that this is where United have got to get the balance right. And we've got to do our due diligence. For instance, let's say we turn around to Elliot Anderson in January and say, look, are you interested? Will you come? If he says, I'm not going in January, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to be interested in the summer either. If any of these other teams come in, we go, right, well, we're looking at Belieber standalone, Wharton standalone. If it's like, whether it's Belieber, whether it's Wharton, or the only person I wouldn't sign Gomes over in January would be, I think Belieber wants to come. I think Belieber will become a Man United player. I am so convinced because of the stories. He wanted to move in the summer. Whenever you hear Ornstein talk about it, Fabrizio talk about it, Jacob speak about it, it's the same story of the players bought in, the player's mind ain't changed, the player wants Man United doing the groundwork. I think in the summer of 26, he becomes a Man United player. So then it's really between the others. And if Wharton doesn't want to join, and if Anderson doesn't want to join, if there's a chance of getting Gomes early in the January, I'd do it. Because a bird in the hand is often worth two in the bush. You know, and it's about a player committing to us. If, though, Elliott, Anderson or Wharton said, I want to come, but I'll wait until the summer, then I wouldn't buy a midfielder in January if we're only getting two. I'd rather wait for the better options because longer term that's going to serve us better. But if Wharton says, look, I'm not going to commit to anybody now, I'll make my mind up in the summer, I'm not sure where I want to go, that becomes a much harder conundrum. Equally, let's see where we are, but I like all of them. I'd love to get your views on this. I'm going to go to the comments now. What about Morgan Rogers? See, Morgan Rogers plays where Mbeumo plays. So no, I don't think there's any real necessity for him, if I'm being honest with you. I'd rather, say we get in the Champions League and need more bodies, I'd rather a new right wing-back who's more defensive-minded so that we could maybe move Ahmad into that position if Mbeumo needs a rest and play a right wing-back as opposed to Morgan Rogers, who I rate, but we've got Mbeumo. I don't think we need him personally. Love watching, this is from Irakli, who says, love watching your shows on the United Stand, Terry. Hope the collaboration continues for a long time. I appreciate that. And yeah, hopefully it does. I love coming onto different platforms and talking. And I love this one because it's purely Manchester United. So I get to speak about my club. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. So thank you, my friend. I appreciate that a lot. Let's have a look at some more of your comments here. Wharton and Stiller won't work, guys. Think about it. We need Belieber, Anderson, Bruno G type players. We definitely need some legs. Yeah, I agree with you. I think there needs to be some energy. There needs to be some legs. We need some power in there. We need some power in there, no doubt about it, to help us. And listen, I saw like a hot take the other day. And somebody just sort of said, if United got Anderson and Belieber this January, they could be in a title race. Now, I thought that was too far-fetched. But I think we'd have a chance of Champions League football. Yeah, I really do. I really, really do. Sorry about that. Tonali, yeah, we're not going to get Tonali. Terry, what do you think of Yuri Tillemans? He plays 6, 8 and 10 class acts. I like Yuri Tillemans, and I feel like when he was at Leicester, I want to say this in the politest possible way, I felt there were times when he was maybe a little bit overweight, maybe not fully fit. I see a different player now at Aston Villa. I think he's been fantastic. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. I really do. I like him. I actually think even with Zirkzee was playing, Amorim would play Cunha up front still. I hear you. Daniel here says, always great to see you here on the United Stand, Terry. A fantastic addition to a brilliant team. I appreciate that. And look, the United Stand is the best fan channel community in the world. It's the biggest. It's got a great team of producers and directors, content creators, hosts. Fantastic on every level. Obviously, they need to perform on the pitch, but a Cantona shirt, for example, would have acquired more gross and net profit than a superstar athlete who may have performed, but the fans don't adore. From a financial standpoint, you're right. But if we get Champions League because we get two midfielders, then more players want to come, plus 100 million Champions League bonus. I agree with you, but that's why you've got to get your. So, for instance, this is why it's such a hard one, where I don't have like a hard and fast opinion, because there are different connotations and outcomes. Let's say January comes and we speak to all 5 of our main midfield targets. Let's say Gomes and Stiller go, yeah, I'll join today. We're like, brilliant. Let's say the other 3, Belieber says, I'll join today, but Brighton won't sell me. You go, right, we want Belieber. definitely happening. Say Anderson and Wharton, who I think are better versions of Stiller and Gomes. If they say maybe, but you have to be in the Champions League, that's when Man United have to make a decision. Do we push back and say, no, nobody creates conditions with us? We're going to look for alternative targets. Now, all of these targets should meet a threshold of improving us. They should all be good enough to improve us. But we should want players that, my view's always been we should want players that want to play for us. Even if Stiller is not as good as Wharton, if he really wants us, there's a possibility, a really good chance he's going to do better for us than Wharton, who is, but only if you're in the Champions League. Or, only if this is going on. Oh, maybe this club, maybe that club. That's the thing for me. I want them to want to join us. So I feel we're in that space. But the club might also look at it and say, look, Stiller and Gomes, they just about meet the benchmark. The other guys smash through it. We believe we can convince them to come and fully commit to us, but it's going to take a bit longer. They might get a bit more of a gamble because by then Stiller and Gomes might go somewhere else because, you didn't want me, and they might leave and go somewhere else to play. So that's why I love the transfer window, by the way. There's so many connotations. But overall, I want us to just go to these players and see what they say. Now, by the way, if 2 or 3 of them commit and go 100%, we'd love to come play for Man United. We'll sign a pre-deal, whatever it is, but it won't be till the summer because they've got unfinished business where they are. Then I would personally wait. I wouldn't sign anyone in that position for our main targets. But I'd love to get your takes on that. Would you do the same? Would you do it differently? Anders here says Anderson and Stiller. Andy F says Anderson, Stiller and Wharton. Lee Dixon says Fabio Wardley is a world champion. Okay, anyway, that's about boxing. Fabio Wardley. Terry, give Gems a shout out. United legend. Big up, Gems. Hope you're good. Emmanuel here says the only left back for Amorim's system is the foe from West Ham, 19 strong and plays in the Premier League. We're going to come on to that in a minute because I've got a big hot take for you. Wharton and Anderson all day long is what Samantha says here. Interesting. Terry, leave Semenyo. Let's splash the cash on Anderson in January, in my opinion. I don't think Anderson moves in January, but I'd go for Semenyo. And this brings us into our final story of the night. David Ornstein has said that suitors were told during the previous market that a fee required to secure Semenyo was around 70 million, whereas the sale price for the winter is now formally set at 65 million, so it's dropped because of a buyout clause. That is also going to reduce more going into the summer, between 55 and 60 million. It must be activated by a specific date, which would give Bournemouth a couple of weeks to replace their best player, and is available to any team. So essentially, they've got to get the bid in by the 5th. It seems by the 15th. Man United should sign him to play left wing back. And when you say that out loud, the initial gut reaction from football fans will be to laugh. Why would he join to play in a defensive position? He's one of the best wingers in the league. That tells me you don't understand what Rúben Amorim wants from his wing backs. Our wing-backs, once this manager has his squad built, once the midfielders are in, once he has the centre-backs that he needs, once he has the wing-backs that are required, the wing-backs will do defending. But their primary function is to attack. Go and watch any tactical breakdown of Rúben Amorim's systems and approaches to games prior to joining Man United. Forget what's been said since, prior to joining. Those wing-backs are so important to his attack. And you see it when Ahmad plays there. There's a reason that we score so many more of our goals when Ahmad's playing in that wing-back position rather than Maz or Dalot. And equally, there's a reason that we're not as strong down that left-hand side because we don't have anybody with the attacking capabilities of an Ahmad there. Equally and more importantly is when you watch Bournemouth and Semenyo, but then also look at the numbers to back up what you think your eyes are seeing. If you actually go and look at his heat maps, if you look at his in-game positioning, forget that he starts on the left wing and we need a left wing back. Forget that starting position. Okay, because on a screen, the left winger's here. It's going to look reversed on your screen because of the way my camera works. And the wing-backs further down. But in-game, if you actually go and look at this season's heat map for Semenyo and this season's heat map for Ahmad, barring being on the opposite sides of the pitch, they're identical. They both hug the touchline. They both do lots of defensive work and lots of attacking work. If you just did like a mirror image on top, you wouldn't be able to guess which one's who. You would not know which one is who. They're identical. When you look at Semenyo's defensive numbers and compare him to the vast majority of right backs and full backs of the top 6 clubs in England and the teams that have 50% of the ball or more, his defensive numbers are very, very similar as well. And people are not looking at this. Semenyo isn't just a player who attacks and sits up one end of the pitch. He doesn't get the opportunity to do that. This man, when you go and look at and break down what it is he's actually done this season, his interceptions, his tackles per game, his possession won, his ball recoveries, his dribble, the amount of times people try to dribble past him. Okay, his clearances, his blocks of shots. All of these things are similar to a lot of defenders. So for me, I get we need a midfielder. I absolutely get it. But this man would be perfect, absolutely perfect for our system. Forget that it would be called a left wing back, because that's going to throw people. And I've said this for so many years. I don't care about formations that much. I care about the positions that players take up in the team. And their heat map is always an example of this. And the example I've always given and readily use is if you go and look at KDB in his pomp, Odegaard in the last few years, and Bruno when he's played attacking midfield, people would go, oh, no, Bruno's a 10. The other two are 8s. Look, two of them play in 3, and Bruno plays in the 10 in a 4-2-3-1. Different. And then you look at their heat maps, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You wouldn't know whose was who. Because it's about what you do in and out of possession. And Man United's wing-backs, their job is to do very similar to that of most clubs' wingers. Now, you'll get anomalies like Mo Salah's, who at the age that he's at are not coming back and doing the defensive work that they used to. But if you look at Semenyo, he is up and down that wing all night, just like our wing-back needs to be. If you also look at our left centre-back steps into midfield a lot, but also spends a lot of time on the wing. Why? Because when the wing-back goes forward. So it's really, really important. It's really, really important to understand and know that. It really, really is. And I'll just show an advert come up on the screen here where it moved me to the side and play the advert next to it. That's really quite cool, YouTube. Sorry. Anyway, I was watching that and, oh, interesting. I wonder what was going on. I thought a graphic was going up on the screen. But yeah, look, from my point of view and perspective, I'd love Semenyo. Ryan here says Semenyo won't sign for United. He's an out-and-out right winger forward. That's why Rashford struggled. But Semenyo's played the majority of this season on the left-hand side. And is scoring and assisting at a very high level. Now, Rashford's issue at Man United was a few things. One, I think Rashford's at a stage of his career where he didn't want to do the defensive work. Equally, I think Rashford's relationship with Man United had broken down. Broken down completely. And it wasn't going to work. So I don't think it's anything to do with where Semenyo would or wouldn't want to play. Now, where I do agree with you, Ryan, is he might look at it and go, I don't want to be a left wing back. And maybe Amorim and the club can't sell it to him. But I don't think our wing backs, if you had Ahmad one side and Semenyo the other, I don't think they're not going to play like wing backs. They're going to look more like wingers. And that's what they are. The reason that we don't always see it that way is we have defensive players playing those roles. Amorim wants attackers. Now, what you need is a combination of two. You need both. We need a left back, wing back who's more of a defender, and one is more of an attacker, and same on the right. Because depending upon who you're playing and the game state, you might need to change it. Equally, where Semenyo becomes would be an absolutely pivotal part of our squad, is there are going to be times where we need him in the 10 role where he also drifts out wide. For instance, right now, let's just say he's been in the team for a year and then we get the striker gets injured. You go, right, well, Cunha's going into the 9 role. We're going to move Semenyo up and whoever the other, and Dorgu now comes in. we need to be multifaceted in that way. Equally, he could cover on the right-hand side if also needed. So from my point of view and perspective, he's a player I think Man United should be looking at. And at £65 million, there's value in that. Now, I think Arsenal have got a better chance than us. And I think Liverpool have got a better chance than us. I do. If all three bid, if all three send pitches into the player, I personally think that he would pick both of them over Man United. But I think we've got to go in for him. I think he would be absolutely perfect on every single level for what we're trying to do. And I'm going to actually see if I can get it up on my phone. I don't know if I have SofaScore on my phone. Maybe I'll have to do it on the internet, right? Because SofaScore, the one thing I like about SofaScore is they have brilliant heat maps. Their heat maps are amazing. And they show you them for the full season. Here we go. I'm going to get it up so you guys can see. Then I'm going to go to some more of your comments here. Would be a great signing, but difficult, like you say. But let us hope. Now, I do agree it'd be difficult, but I'm just speaking from a United fan's perspective. This is who I think we should be going for. So let me find what's going on here. Where is these? I've never done it on my phone. I normally do it on my... No, I don't want matches. Why can't I get his season up on my phone? No, I'm gutted if I can't find it for you guys. I can see performances. Maybe I didn't scroll down enough. No, I'm not too sure where it is. Maybe if I turn it this way. No, I don't want my profile. I don't need my profile on there, mate. Why is it giving me basketball options? No, maybe I need the app. But yeah, I'll show you guys another. But you guys can go and look. Just go and look at the heat maps, the season heat maps for him. The one thing he has different to Ahmad is there is touches on the right wing, but that's because they play him on both. But I think we need an element of that, to be honest with you. How would we get Nuno Mendes out of PSG? We can't. That's just not even... But again, if you actually look, I just know, right? I wish I could share this on my screen with you. I'm going to go and search Nuno Mendes. I almost guarantee you that Nuno Mendes' heat map looks like Semenyo's, even though one's a right winger and one is a left winger and one is a left back in terms of the position they play. I know they're going to look the same. The only difference in the two of their heat maps really is that Nunes barely goes on the right hand side. But in fact, if you looked at Nuno Mendes, most of his touches of the ball and his actions are in an attacking phase close to the touchline on the left hand side. He inverts a little bit more than Semenyo does, but again, they look very similar. And that's why I don't necessarily think the roles important. Now, if Man United play a flat back four and said we need to play left back, he wouldn't go for that. He wouldn't go for that. But equally, you bring a Semenyo in. What does Semenyo also give us the option to do? It also gives the manager, who says he will do it one day, it also gives us the option to go 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. Because now what you can do is put him to the left, Cunha through the centre, and Mbeumo on the right. Again, that's why I think we should look at it. Options, versatility needed. The problem is with Semenyo, he will also be going AFCON. No, he's not. Ghana didn't qualify. Unless I've got that wrong. I don't think Ghana qualified. It's another reason we should look at him. We're going to lose Mbeumo. We're going to lose Ahmad. Let's get it done. It gives us extra options. It gives us the left wing back generally. He can play on the right. If we change formation, he fits in perfectly. For me, it's a no-brainer. RJ says, Terry, I think we're going to get Semenyo. I hope we do. I hope we do. And for me, he might be cheaper in the summer. But if you could get him now, listen, I mean, what an amazing moment that would be. We're going to lose two of our best players to AFCON in the last week of December. Bang, 1st of January, bid in, agreed, done. I'd love it. As much as it would be gutting still to lose Ahmad and Mbeumo, it gives us something different. And I think we should look at it. Hi, Terry. Personally, who do you want at our team next? Any position? Oh, it's hard, right? Semenyo's on the list. Baliba, Elliot Anderson, like they're players I want. Over the course of the next couple of years, that's what we should be aiming for. Now, if we fast forward 2 or 3 years' time, and we've got Semenyo's, and people go, you're not going to get these players. Everyone said we wouldn't get Cunha, and we wouldn't get Mbeumo, so I just leave those people out. But if we can add some Semenyos, some Balibas, some Andersons, some Gomez's to this team, then we start looking at defenders, maybe the summer after, and you start improving on 2 or 3 of those areas too. Excellent squad then. Terry, Man United have agreed to form a basketball team. What will that help our finances? I'll be honest with you, I've got no idea how that helps or doesn't help. I really don't know. I'd have to read the story, my friend. Daniel here says Semenyo could be that very special signing that becomes fantastic for us, like Mbeumo. Indeed, the midfield is a priority, but that could also be an opportunity. It could, but this is the way I view it. I don't look at it as a signing for the front three. I look at it as a fullback that we also know we want. So if we decided in the summer it's going to be two midfielders, we're going to get Anderson and Baliba, we've got Bruno and we've got Mainu. There are four main midfielders. And then we go, and Semenyo's come in, and then we go, and then we're also going to get a centre-back. That as a summer, I look at it and go, yeah, that'd be great. Maybe a more experienced striker, but let's see what Šeško's looking like by then. Why we can't do Semenyo in January? Why? From a financial standpoint, why? He might pick another club. There's a buyout clause of 65 million. Bournemouth can't stop it. We only have to convince the player. The biggest issue for us isn't the money. The biggest issue will be other clubs getting him. Terry, I'm just scared Semenyo has given his word to Liverpool and has said yes to Liverpool. Yeah, that's the only reason we couldn't get him, is if another team's already convinced him. Of course, United can sign him, and of course we have the money. We always say we're poor, but we're not that poor. But there we go. That's just me. Look, I want to thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great conversation tonight. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm back tomorrow night at 8 p.m, so make sure you're all back here. But of course, United Stand every day, 10 a.m, 2 p.m, 8 p.m. Make sure you're there supporting Beth and everybody else, everybody else that's hosting mods and everyone else that's hosting shows over the next few days with Mark being away. Please keep supporting the community, even without Mark being here, because that's what he would want. Until next time, like, share, subscribe. We'll see you all again.